How many kills would a Killmonger kill if a Killmonger could monger kills? That's the question on this What If. Let's talk Iron Man.
No. Scratch Iron Man. No Iron Man. Tony Stark. Tony Stark saved by Killmonger. That's this week's What If. So no Iron Man. Forget Iron Man. We're talking Killmonger. We're talking another Wakanda Forever episode of What If. Very heavy on T'Challa. Well, not really T'Challa. He makes a cameo in this, but and then he's dead. Spoilers.
Yeah. Marvel, stop! My heart can't take it. You know, it's you're killing all my favorite characters again and again and again and again. And
you would think by this episode we'd be used to. But yeah, no. Every time I'm like, I know it's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially because it's Killmonger.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, oh, Tony, no. Oh, Rhodey, no.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
everybody, no.
But they definitely tricked us going into this, because the Watcher says, and gives a villain another chance. So we're sitting there hopeful. It's like, oh man, Eric Killmonger is gonna like join up with Tony, and he's gonna be the new Iron Man. That's cool. No.
Right.
Eric Killmonger is going to get another chance at being another villain.
But see, the Watcher, and it did surprise me. This is the first time, I think this is the first time in one of these What If episodes where they really, maybe not everybody was fooled, but for a good portion of this episode, I was really fooled. I'm like, oh, is this going to be all like, this is kind of the new Avengers? But no, the Watcher tells us at the beginning of this episode, heroes, where he's going through what would have happened had Iron Man not been saved by Killmonger. Heroes are forged in the darkness of a cave.
Yeah.
And if we go back to Eric Killmonger's story from Black Panther, we know that we should have known that that he was who he is. He was forged as a child by the old Black Panther, T'Challa's father, confronting Killmonger's father, his brother, and killing him. That shaped who he was. And he stayed true to that in this alternate reality. That was he executed his plan exactly like he was going to in Black Panther, but in this reality, him being there and starting his plan with Tony Stark and using Stark technology to do his thing. It was again kind of a bummer episode, but very cool.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't know really what I expected. I didn't expect, I wanted to see a cool hero, Eric Killmonger, because I loved Michael G. Jordan's representation of the character.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan, he's great. And he is coming back for Wakanda Forever, right?
That's my understanding.
Is that the rumor?
That's my understanding, but that's to be seen. But, to your point, leading up to this, Killmonger hasn't changed. We just see him earlier in his progression before Black Panther. So, realistically, this, everything lines up with the story that we get in Black Panther. They mentioned that he was in Africa. They mentioned he was part of a SEAL team. They, just taking that extension and having him deep in cover in the Ten Rings is just a great extension, bringing now, the Ten Rings and Shang-Chi back into it. But yeah, we're not in a world where Eric Killmonger was on a trajectory to become a hero. He was just leveraging his plan earlier.
He's Killmonger. Yeah. And I wonder if this is a tease of how he's going to be, what they're going to do with the character if he is in Wakanda Forever. He said, because he apparently dies at the end of Black Panther, but T'Challa does offer that they could save him, that they could use their Wakanda medical technology and save him, and he declines it. Now, I guess we assume, because T'Challa is, an honorable person or whatever, that he lets him die. But we also know from the end of Civil War that Zemo wants to kill himself too, and Black Panther doesn't let him. So maybe T'Challa puts him in the tank anyway, and that's how we get him back. But is it going to change him? Is he still going to be, the Killmonger that, or has he learned his lesson? And
Right.
I think maybe this episode's a hint that we're going to get a still complicated, which I want, Killmonger, because he's easily one of the best Marvel villains, like easily.
easily,
Now,
yeah.
up to and including Shang-Chi's father, the actual, the real Mandarin, the leader of the Ten Rings, played by Tony Leung, who's great. But yeah, him and Michael B. Jordan have the most compelling villains, where you're like, man, I see his point.
Yeah. Well, and that's the cool thing about what Marvel's doing. They're giving us these great superhero epic stories, but our villains are very complex. Our heroes are very complex. Neither one of them are really they're all damaged people. We've talked about it before. Tony Stark is a damaged individual. Thor, when he goes into his adventure in Thor, is a damaged person. Loki is a damaged character. Chris Evans, Captain America, damaged person because he went through, living in the ice and losing everything. They're all these really damaged, complex characters, and they're telling amazing stories.
Well, and on your what you were saying about Iron Man, Iron Man is in this, or Tony Stark in this episode, he does not learn the right lesson because he's rescued by Killmonger. He does not learn. He learns that we need to build more weapons, better weapons.
Right.
And so yeah, Killmonger's the star of this episode. This is like his arc, but Tony goes to a bad place too. He definitely goes to up into planning on killing Killmonger, which results in his death.
Yeah.
But a very vengeful Tony Stark,
which I didn't expect. I really didn't expect that. When I got the title reveal of "What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark," which obviously he did, but he didn't. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, cool. We're gonna get a Tony Stark heavy episode. This is our Tony arc. We got a Peggy Carter arc. We got a T'Challa arc. We got a Doctor Strange. This is going to be Tony's. This was absolutely not Tony's story. This was Killmonger's story. Straight from the beginning. He saves Tony. We get back and we see the press conference where he confronts Obadiah Stane straight off, shows that he had a connection to the Ten Rings. That just jumpstarts the trajectory of this whole episode into where we're going. And it's the tie-ins again. What Marvel's doing in these what ifs, they're giving us such amazing tie-ins to the stories that we've gotten already, where all the callbacks, all the little Easter eggs, everything is so just well tied together with a little bow that whoever the writers are doing an amazing job. Obviously, Kevin Feige has a hand in it, but they're doing such a brilliant job giving us.
Well, and didn't you tell me that Chadwick Boseman was heavily involved creatively in this? I mean, and it shows. I mean, T'Challa has a very heavy influence, and it almost makes me wonder, in a kind of a wistful, sad way, if that he has a hand in how they're going to transition the Black Panther character, because obviously they can't just recast Black Panther and transferring in story, transferring the mantle of the Black Panther to someone else has to be handled carefully. So the benefit that they had, Chadwick Boseman, knowing that he had, he didn't have a lot of time left. He had terminal cancer. I wonder how involved he is and how much What If's arc truly is sort of setting up, because we're getting a lot of T'Challa. We've seen a lot of the spirit world, a lot of the things that T'Challa echoes in the movies, and very much his character about death is not the end.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder, if somehow, because we're getting to the end of this What If series, and we're seeing each episode. This is brought up on shows like Den of Geek, and they really brought it out. I kind of noticed it, but they really, really showed from the beginning of this series. We started out seeing Uatu the Watcher very vaguely, like just his outline in the stars. This last episode, we full on saw him like he was just as animated and just as physical and real and talking to us as any other character. And it looks like, Jeffrey
Wright.
Yeah, it looks like Jeffrey Wright. And again, kind of going along with what they're doing in Star Wars, where they're casting people to do these voices, makes me wonder, are we going to see the Watcher in live action? Are
Yeah.
we going to see
And
Jeffrey
that-
Wright as the Watcher?
And that'd be amazing. I mean, obviously, we've already seen the Watchers in that one scene with Stan Lee where he's explaining the story, which was
Right.
such a fun callback. But it
For
would be,
one of his, I think that was that was his last cameo, wasn't it, or his second to last cameo?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think you might be right.
But
on
it was
that.
it was an appropriate one because
Yeah.
it was like stands up there with the Watchers, just
Yeah.
watching.
But it's
Excelsior.
But again, it's kind of cool because they can kind of do what they did with Thanos and Josh Brolin, where we saw Thanos twice before he was Josh Brolin's Thanos. So
Right.
I'd be okay with them retconning the Watchers to have Jeffrey Wright's face or all different faces,
Or just
because
that Watcher, just that Watcher,
or
is
just
Jeffrey
that
Wright.
Watcher, because I mean he's doing such an amazing job. I want to circle back to what you said about Chadwick Boseman though, because
Yeah.
it really makes me wonder. Obviously it was a surprise to a lot of people. Most people I think had zero idea that he had anything going on. He hit it
Right.
really well. He kept everything really close to the chest. But going into this, I wonder how open he was with Marvel at the end. With hey, like I'm not doing good, because even in the
Right.
T'Challa voice that you hear in this episode, it's not the strong T'Challa Chadwick Boseman that we usually get. There was,
Yeah,
a little.
I
bit
try
of
not to
weakness
think
there.
about it too much,
Yeah.
but yeah, he does sound like he's not having a great time sometimes.
Right. So I wonder.
And I don't know
wonder,
how much of that is performance and how much of that is the sickness. No one will know, but yeah.
But I wonder how much in this that he did talk to Marvel and say, hey, listen, I am sick, and this needs to tie up my story, and
Right.
how much going into it did he lead into Black Panther 2, and give them ideas. We'll obviously probably never know, at least not until after Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that there's a little bit of him going forward in all of it. Just because every time I see him,
I definitely think that they'll try to craft a legacy around him, and I hope in a wistful kind of in a sad way, but hopeful that that he is involved and they're able to creatively write it where somehow T'Challa goes off with the reason that he's no longer around is he has to go off with the Watcher. A la, Wesley Crusher in Star Trek Next Generation. He has to go off with the Watcher to do some greater universal thing, and so has to go into this other dimension, and that's why we don't see him.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be tricky. I'm glad he got to. He'll always be Black Panther. He was fantastic. It's such a tragic loss, as a person and everything else. But yeah, man, if he can have a hand in how it's handled after he's already gone, I think that's I don't know if there's a better way to do T'Challa's story than that, because it's so who that character is,
Well, and really the way that they're starting to bring in these spiritual realms with Shang-Chi, and we get the galactic realms with Thor, and we saw the spirit realm in Black Panther, it really makes me wonder if going forward that those spiritual realms will have more of a hand. Maybe we'll see more of the Black Panther spiritual realm. Obviously, it won't be Chadwick Boseman. They'll have to find creative ways to work around that. But that could be a way that we get Killmonger back. That he could come back from the spiritual realm. We don't know what having the Black Panther juice inside of him did to his body. Maybe it extended his life and did rapid healing, because when T'Challa died, he had the flower juice taken out of him. So maybe when you have the Black Panther's powers, maybe you have extended life. That'd be kind of cool. Obviously, we're getting way off track of What If, and talking more about Black Panther. But really, the two are just so tied together at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time thinking of an episode of What If that we've watched where Black Panther wasn't in it, other than maybe Captain Carter. I think he's been at least a little in all of them, hasn't he?
We saw him in Zombies. So he wasn't in Captain Carter. He wasn't in Doctor Strange, but we saw him in Zombies. I want to say we saw him in What If the Avengers Died. Did we?
No.
No.
No, I don't know.
So he's
no,
been in
he,
half of them so far. He's been in half of them, a good solid half of them so far.
Right,
But,
and then the other thing that kind of ties into to What If and all these episodes and kind of where we think it's leading is, again, at the end of this episode, there was still a version of the Avengers. It was Siri, Happy, and Pepper were basically the new Avengers.
Yeah. Right.
And they were going to avenge Tony Stark.
Which is very comically said right on that poster, avenge Tony Stark. I thought that was a really great callback to that. But yeah, I mean, we get a very young Shuri, younger than we see her obviously in Black Panther because this is set years prior. But man, maybe we get an Iron Shuri. Seeing her incorporate Stark tech and Wakanda tech would be so cool.
Because they do call that back to her character, where Tony was a genius. Well, he wasn't the only genius. She says, because she is. She's equal. They've set it up in the movies. Shuri is at least as brilliant as Tony Stark. They've been very clear about that.
The Black Panther suit, it's not nanotech because it's vibranium, but it's very similar to Tony Stark's nanotech armor, and it took him a long time to get there. And Shuri, at whatever she is, 16 or whatever, she's right there. Yeah. So let's talk about Wakanda, because obviously we get to Wakanda in this episode.
Right.
Oh man. Okay. So seeing T'Challa's mother as the general of the Dora Milaje,
she was badass.
Almost brought tears to my eyes. That was so cool. My wife didn't understand it because she's like, well, wait a minute, she wasn't doing that in the Black Panther movie. I'm like, well, no, because they had T'Challa, they had the Black Panther. The Black Panther is the de facto defender of Wakanda.
It'd be like getting to see
in his absence, in the king's absence, the queen had to step up and be a queen. But I love seeing the matriarchal power of Wakanda. I think that's great.
It was like getting to see Thor and Loki's mom, seeing Sif, the Renee Russo character. It'd be like getting to see her,
Frigga.
like back when she was, Frigga, when she's a badass, like back, because they set that up that like she kind of taught Loki everything and all of his magic and stuff. So a young Odin, and Frigga are definitely as dangerous as the Wakandan queen. But yeah, that was a really cool action sequence. The whole Wakandan battle was awesome. And I cannot remember the character or the actor's name, but the Black Arms dealer from
Claw.
Age of Ultron.
Claw. Ulysses Claw.
So we got to talk about him, who was voiced by the actor who played him in the thing, Golem, King Kong.
Right.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. I was going to say I'm totally
Andy
blanking
Serkis.
on it. He's in.
I'm
so
like,
many
if I
things
say
right
enough
now.
of his, if I say enough of his characters, I'll remember it. But so Andy Serkis comes back, does the voice of Claw, and he nails it. That's your one definite call out clue in this episode that Killmonger's. I wouldn't want to play chess with you, my friend. He says, and he ends up the same way. It's the same trajectories in the. Killmonger gets what he wants, hands the body over to the kills him, hands the body over to the Wakandans. That's his. That's his, his ticket of admission to Wakanda.
It totally sets back up that really dark trajectory that Tony Stark was on leading up to this, because he's like, hey, I know a guy that can get us vibranium. And it's like, oh man, has Tony Stark, before he was Iron Man, had dealings with Ulysses Claw? I mean, that's
he knows
shady.
Of it.
Well, but but it's setting up in a multiversal idea that Tony Stark could have had dealings, could have been part of the reason why maybe Claw stole some of the vibranium to begin with in this universe. I don't know, but again, the weaving those stories together, the same thing that we get with Shang-Chi and all the way back to Iron Man. I love how they're just tying this huge tapestry that is the Marvel universe together. But speaking, I want to jump to something. Speaking of Shang-Chi a little bit, and how we get the call out to Dragon Ball Z with the Kamehameha, In this episode, obviously people have joked about Killmonger's armor in the past because it's very not fitting for the Marvel movies. It's kind of a weird costume.
Yeah, it looks like he's a G.I. Joe character.
Yeah. Well, we get a strong call out to the fact that Eric Killmonger is an otaku. I mean, he's an anime nerd. You know, so you know, it almost calls out and says, yeah, he meant his armor to look like Vegeta's armor. You know, you know, he designed these giant mechs to look like Gundam. They say Gundam. You know,
Tony Stark says he's like, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just have created the world's most expensive Gundam model.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so fun that they're going there. They're dropping these little nerd nuggets around. It's super fun.
But okay, so my turn to get you back on track.
Okay.
So what if like a couple episodes left? What are we looking at? Let's put together our Defenders of the Universe team that we're pretty sure that the Watcher is going to have to put together for the last episode. So let's start here and move backwards. So is Killmonger going to be, because this was his story, would the Watcher come and get him? Because he's probably gonna get evil Doctor Strange. So, I mean, are some of his defenders going to be these kind of anti-heroes?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely are, because we're going to have the Dark Doctor Strange. I don't think it'll be Killmonger. I mean, obviously it can. I'm going to base this mostly on, again, the Hyundai commercial that we saw. And
okay, you're all about that. Yeah. That's your Kang.
I am.
That's your Kang.
But they just dropped a teaser for episode 7, and it looks like we're gonna get that Avengers of the Multiverse, Defenders of the Multiverse, whatever they're, Guardians of the Multiverse.
Okay. Right.
And it's a lot of the footage from that commercial. It's Captain Carter fighting a bunch of Ultron robots.
Okay. We got Captain Carter.
It's Dark Doctor Strange. It's Spider-Man. Right. They showed a real cool shot of Gamora in this trailer, so we're gonna see Gamora show up. I think we're gonna get more Thanos. But
I think we're gonna get T'Challa, Star-Lord.
We'll get and T'Challa, Star-Lord, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get
which
that.
I don't think you could set up a T'Challa, Star-Lord and a Killmonger in the same episode.
Maybe you could though. Maybe you could. You know, and then that changes all these people that then they go back, because again, they do Michael B. Jordan and they just do such a good job of I'm like, oh, he could be so good, but he's on his mission, you know, and he's gonna do it. So yeah, our mission was to break down What If episode 6.
Yes.
Episode 6.
Yes.
I think we've accomplished it. I think we've covered all the bases. Probably missed some stuff, but
I'm sure we've missed a lot. If there's something we didn't talk about that you wanna hear us ramble on about, you know, definitely drop it down in the comments. Yeah, like follow, share, subscribe, share it with all your friends. You know, make your mom watch it. You know,
right.
Help us out.
What if this became a real show?
Yeah, help us out. Join the channel. Drop us your questions in your comments, and we'll see you next time when we talk about more good stuff.
Applesauce and Baloney.